Miracle at Large, a story of love and hope for families fighting drug dependency. By Ricky Sinclair with Gerald Johnston. Narrated by Bryan Rogillio. Man, look at all the cops. They're everywhere. We've got to get out of here. Man, go, 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 go. Where to, Ricky? I don't know, man. I'm busted. Did you see all those cops? Well, that was the situation when I arrived at my house in West Feliciana Parish one afternoon in 1986. SWAT teams, state police, surveillance teams, and the local police had kicked down my door, and they weren't playing. I had sold some pot to a friend of mine that morning, but he had no idea that he was in trouble with the law. He was looking at some time. He had consequently made a deal. The deal was that he was turning state's evidence, and the evidence was my dope. He had been smuggling drugs out of Mexico for many years, and the West Feliciana police wanted me badly. When I arrived at my house and saw all the commotion, I hit the road running. I went to a friend's house to regroup, to develop a plan, and of course to get high. The plan was to sneak back home at midnight to get Jeannie, my wife, and Sterling, my 1-year-old son. Yeah, this would be cool. We'll move and I'll use my alias, James Lewis Winfield. I traded my Chevy truck for a green T-Bird, and then sent word to Jeannie that I would be coming to get her. I felt confident that this would work. That night I carried out the plan. It did work. Jeannie was packed and ready. We were off and running. We went to Baton Rouge and rented a motel room. I made a few phone calls, hooked up with a couple of my buddies down there. I needed their help. We needed somewhere to stay for a while. Later, 4 or 5 of my friends showed up at a motel room. We partied, drank, got high, got the munchies. We were really hungry, but there wasn't anything to eat, so my buddies and I decided to run up to the local Taco Bell. We left Jeannie and Sterling at the motel. We piled into my green T-Bird and lit out for the grub. John drove. We parked at the 7-Eleven store next door to the Taco Bell. We were almost through burning a doobie when a guy, friend of one of my buddies, walked up and leaned in the window. The next second, we were surrounded by undercover narcotics agents. It happened so fast. My heart was racing. I had to think something up quick. All right, everybody out of the car. Turn around. Put your hands against the car. Legs spread. What's your name, boy? One of the cops asked me. James Lewis Winfield, sir. Where do you live? At 921 Lanier Street, apartment 951. Let me see your driver's license. What do you do for a living? Sir, I do independent mechanic work, and I just lost my driver's license 3 days ago. I haven't even had a chance to get another one yet. Life's been hectic lately, sir. I don't even know why I'm hanging out with these people like this. I came from a real good family, sir. It turned out that Mike and John were as hot as I was. The cops had been looking for them. As the police were sorting them off, I yelled out to John and asked if he wanted me to drive. As the police were escorting them off, I yelled out to John and asked if he wanted to drive his car home. He said yes. The officers had no objections. It was incredible. Things had gone so smoothly. There I was, a natural-born con artist, driving off in what they thought was someone else's car and without a driver's license. Man, I could lie with the best of them. I drove back to the motel and told Jeannie what had happened. She could hardly believe it. We discussed our situation with John and Mike in jail. We were going to need a new plan. But what? Randy. I'll hook up with Randy. Surely he'll put us up till I can sort things out. We spent that night in the hotel room and then packed up and headed to Randy's house the next morning. He was glad to see us, but I don't think his wife was too enthused. She didn't care much for our kind of adventure, and to top it off, we were broke. Having no money, I had to risk going back to West Feliciana to harvest my weed. I talked Randy into going with me. Randy drove around while I went into the woods with a flashlight and harvested 2 duffel bags of marijuana. We met up at the appointed time and headed back to his house. Success! We stayed with Randy for a couple of days, and then it was time to move on. We headed towards New Orleans, selling weed, staying wherever we could. We hung out for a little while with Bobby, a friend of my cousin's on the West Bank of New Orleans. While there, I bought an alias, Kent Douglas Smith. I got everything, name, social security number, birth certificate for $75. Things started slowing down in New Orleans. So we left Bobby and headed for Baton Rouge. It was night, and all the lights of the T-Bird began flittering. We pulled off.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?